So our next question comes from Jason M. Jason says, I made a mistake a few years ago. I opened a margin account. How do I get out from under margin? I don't really know what I'm doing. I feel tied down. Could you all please explain margin to me? Oh, Jason. Okay. Let me take a first stab at this, Robert. I'll let you jump in and then maybe we'll both come to a epiphany of a conclusion here to help out Jason. So can you please explain margin? Yes, I certainly can. So margin is debt. You are borrowing money from your online broker. So let's say you're on Robinhood. And because I know Robinhood does do margin. And let's say that you have all of your, bank accounts connected, you're investing, you're doing your thing, maybe you got 10, 20, $30,000 on there. Robinhood, especially back in 2021 when the GameStop stuff was going on, they were saying, hey guys, do you want to borrow on margin? And instead of just having your $20,000, $30,000 to invest, we'll actually loan you another $30,000 and you can take that money and you can go invest it into whatever you want. That's debt, right? That's like borrowing from your grandfather to go take his money and invest it, right? That's debt. So by investing this borrowed money, what happens is two things. One, you are on the hook to pay back all of the money over a specific period of time. And two, if your investment that you invested into decreases in value enough, you have to do something called a margin call, which means Robinhood, who let you call it this $10,000, doesn't believe in whatever you just invested in is going to be worth that same $10,000 to get back. So they're going to say, hey, Austin, we don't know what you bought, but it doesn't look good. So we need you to put up your own collateral of $5,000 to make sure that we are going to get whole on this debt that we lent you, right? So margin is very scary. Margin is speculative. Margin is risky. Margin is every word in the dictionary that is not safe, right? So by going into debt to have these trade ideas or whatever, it's like it just never really works out in my opinion, unless maybe there's something that maybe no one else knows. Like I don't know, I can't speculate here, but it's not something I've personally done and it's not something I think that I'll go into more. But before we think about now helping Jason to get out from under his margin, Robert, I'll give you the floor to jump in and share your own thoughts.
When I hear margin, a few words come to mind. Robinhood, obviously, crypto, Forex trading, day trading, and get rich quick. So the moral of the story is margin borrowing comes with all the same risks of any other debt that you would take on. And you just have to be careful in that situation, because when you're taking on that free money that you think is margin, you're not thinking of the future and the what if I'm wrong. So many people see that margin availability in their account and they think, ooh, I'm going to double down on this stock. I'm going to double down on this crypto because Uncle Bill said it was going to be great. And then when it goes south, then you don't have the funds to be able to pay off what would be called a margin call when they come and they knock on your door and say, hey, we want our money back now. So please, please understand the depths of despair that can happen with margin if you don't know what you're doing. It's just very, very risky. And it's like any other debt. You just don't want to get in that situation where you could eventually lose your account and be upside down and owe that platform money that you don't have.
It's kind of similar to a HELOC for people that might be really confused here. So a HELOC is like saying, hey, you got a little bit of equity in this, real estate primary home that you're living in. We'll let you borrow against that a little bit, play around if you want to go buy a, dishwasher or like whatever you want to do. I would argue that people use HELOCs for much more responsible things than gambling in the stock market, but it's the same consequence, right? If you don't pay back the HELOC, well, they have the opportunity now to repossess your home from you because that's what you borrowed against. And so margin is very similar in the sense that if they lend you $10,000 on your account and you don't have the $10,000 to pay them back, or, a collateral of some sort to show them that you are, pretty close to that original investment, then they're going to say, hey, give me money like right now. Like this is not cool. So how do we get out from under this? Really good question. I would treat it like any other debt. Number one, I would stop going into debt. So I'd stop playing with these margin accounts. I would stop going into debt to trade or invest or whatever you think you're doing here, Jason. Obviously hasn't worked out, which you've come to the conclusion, right? You said I made a mistake a few years ago, so that's good. So realize the mistake has been made. Stop going into debt going forward and treat it like any other debt. If that's the debt avalanche method or debt snowball method, but focus on this like any other high interest credit card debt or personal loan debt. You have to pay this off. This might be 7, 10, 12% interest rate, which means it is a high interest debt and it's not something that we want to keep around.
I love it. Great response, Austin.
Really good question, Jason. And we're rooting for you, man.